as we come to a seated place on the mat, sitting up nice and tall, letting our eyes soften and close. Maybe taking a shoulder roll, lifting shoulders up, relaxing them back and settling down. Maybe some neck rolls. Just taking this opportunity for any little bit of movement or adjustment that allows us to sit comfortable, sit tall. As we begin to turn inward, just taking notice of the body and the breath. As our thoughts begin to settle, let's take this opportunity to set an intention for our practice. And our intention is a positive word or phrase said in the present tense, which will become an anchor for our practice and for this time on the mat. As we've allowed our thoughts to settle on what that intention is, we can repeat it silently to ourselves 3 times. As we turn our awareness back to the breath, to the in-breath and the out-breath. If we'd like, adding in our Ujjayi breath, our soft whisper exhale breath. We'll take the time and opportunity to create equal ratio breath, or equal inhale, equal exhale. With our next inhale breath, counting the inhales 1, 2, 3 to whatever number we get to. And we'll do the same thing with our exhale breath, counting 1, 2, 3 to whatever number we reach. Once we've established a count for the inhale breath and the exhale breath, we'll work to make those counts a little bit more equal and even, finding the shorter of the 2 breaths and seeing if we could just lengthen it maybe 1 or 2 counts. Let's now invite some movement into our practice with our next inhale breath, circling arms overhead, sweeping and reaching upward towards the sky. And as our palms meet, hands can flow down to heart center. Continuing that movement and breath. Again, sweeping towards the sky, inhaling deep breath. And with our exhale, bringing hands down to heart center. Feeling the connection of our palms. Find one more of these circle sweeping flows. We'll now add in some lateral flexion flow, inhaling and sweeping both arms up to the sky. And as we bend off to the right, placing the right hand down to mat, left arm reaches overhead, inhaling deeply into our side body. Inhaling to straighten back up. Exhaling off to the other side. Holding here, inhaling into side body. And then exhaling back up to the center. Flowing one more time on each side. And inhaling that space in between all the ribs. As our palms ultimately meet overhead, hands coming back down to heart center. With our hands onto our knees, inhaling this seated cow pose, lifting heart center up to the sky, chin can lift or slightly tuck, and with our exhale, rounding forward. Continuing alternating between these two spinal positions, taking note of any tension or tightness we may be holding in our backs or in our spine. Let's flow one more time in each direction. As we draw back up to our neutral spine, circling our torso to open up side body and hip. If it feels good, we can continue with a little bit of cat-cow motion as we circle backwards into our cat, circling forward into our cow. Moving as fast or as slow as we'd like, as big or as small. And then taking this motion into the opposite direction. We'll ultimately draw ourselves back up to center. And then onto our hands and knees. All fours position. As we ground into our palms and feeling our knees directly underneath our hips. Engaging strong through the core center. We'll flow through spinal balance, first extending right arm, left leg out from center. Inhaling as we reach. Exhale, placing hand and knee to mat. And then we'll switch to the other side. Again, reaching away from center, feeling strength in the lifted glutes and the lifted shoulder. Using the core center for stability and balance. Let's flow through one more on each side. And as we ultimately come back to all fours, hips to heels in our child's pose. Resting back, maybe taking a little rock side to side in the hips. And as we create warmth in our upper body with our vinyasa flow, we shift forward into a kneeling plank. Taking a little yogi push-up, lowering halfway. Pressing back up and hips to heels in our child's pose. Continuing to flow at our own pace. We'll flow one more time. With our next inhale breath, as we shift into kneeling plank, let's lower all the way down onto our bellies. Warming up through our spine, our thoracic spine, with a flowing cobra. Let's take our shoulders down and back, inhaling, lifting heart center away from that, and then exhale to release back down. Again, inhaling, lengthening crown of head forward, and exhale to release. Let's flow two more times. Noticing strength in our upper back. With our next inhale inhale breath, strong core engagement. We press ourselves up and back, hips to heels in our child's pose. Taking this opportunity to check in with the body. As we tuck our toes, lifting into our downward facing dog. As we hold here, a little pedal of our heels down to mat, pressing and holding one, then pressing and holding the other side. A little alternating pedal push. As we press both heels down to mat, let's stretch the bottom of feet by coming up onto tiptoes and then releasing heels down to mat. Again, lifting up onto toes. Exhale to release. One more time. And then holding down dog, or maybe going back to that pedal push. Whatever would feel good for our calves and for our legs. Then we can slowly walk our feet to the top of the mat into forward fold. With an inhale breath, we rise up to sky. Exhaling, we'll flow through chair. Creating a little sequence here, we'll rise back up. Now hinging into a forward fold. Inhaling, half lift into our monkey pose. Exhale to release all the way down. We'll rise back up to sky, inhaling deep breath. Exhale to flow through chair. Inhaling to rise, and exhale to release down. Inhaling, lifting halfway. Exhale. Inhale to rise, and floating through chair. One more time through this little sequence. With our next inhale breath, as we rise, arms up to sky. Let's bring palms to knee and hands to heart center. Into our Tadasana mountain pose. As we turn to step wide on our mat, preparing for moonflowers and sunflowers, we'll take our feet wide, knees toes turned out. Inhaling first into a 5-pointed star. Then as we bring ourselves straight down into moonflower, alternating with a sunflower, we'll now hinge at our hips, sweeping arms underneath. Continuing alternating between the two, first straight down and then a little hinge forward. Working to warm up the legs and hips a little bit more. Let's flow through one more of each. And we'll ultimately inhale and rise, arms overhead, bringing palms to knee and hands to heart center. So we make our way back to the top of the mat into mountain pose. Preparing for our sun salutations, we'll inhale to rise to sky. Exhale, we release down to mat. Let's step our right foot back, drawing knee to mat into a low lunge. Inhaling to lift arms up to the sky. With our exhale, rotating and twisting towards the front knee for hand on hip, hand on knee for low twist lunge. We'll untwist and rise arms to sky. As we release our hands, drawing hips to heels in our child's pose. Flowing through a vinyasa, shifting into kneeling plank, lowering all the way down onto belly. Lifting heart center into cobra. And then we press up and back, hips to heels, child's pose. As we lift our hips, stepping the right foot forward. Inhaling to rise arms. Let's rotate and twist towards the front knee. Again, hand to hip, hand to knee. Inhaling to untwist. And let's release our hands and step into forward fold. With our eyes to the sky. Let's flow through chair. Finding that same sequence, leading with the other side. This time our left foot steps back. As we draw our knee down, we can rise arms to sky. Exhale to rotate into the twist. As we untwist arms to sky, let's release the hands and move into our child's pose. Modified vinyasa, we flow into kneeling, lowering down onto the belly. Heart center lifting. Then we press up and back, hips to heels in child's pose. As we lift our hips, the left foot will step. And as we find our low lunge, moving into the twist. Untwisting as we rise our arms. And let's release those hands down and find a forward fold. With an inhale breath, rising to sky. And moving through chair. Now for our full sun salutation, we'll flow into fold, stepping our right foot back. And as we rise into a high lunge, strength throughout the body, releasing, grounding the right palm. Let's take the left arm to the sky for twisting lunge. We'll release the hand for downward facing dog. Moving through our vinyasa knees or toes, we shift to plank, lowering and lifting into upward facing dog, and back into downward facing dog. Right foot will step forward, with an inhale up to the sky. Let's release, grounding left palm, right arm will reach, inhaling deep breath. And with our hand down to the mat, stepping into forward fold. Inhaling to rise. And moving through our chair pose. One more time. We'll step our left foot back. Inhaling into high lunge. Let's release down, grounding left palm, right arm to sky, inhaling deep breath. And as we release down, downward facing dog. Moving through vinyasa. And back into downward facing dog. Our left foot will step. Finding our high lunge, moving into a twisting lunge. As we step into forward fold, inhaling to rise, and flowing through chair. With our next breath, we rise to sky, releasing into fold. Taking a moment here, letting ourselves relax, a little sway side to side, like a rag doll. With our weight to center, stepping the right foot back into a high lunge, rising to sky. Adding on eagle arms, our arms will sweep to the side, stacking right on top of left, interlacing arms. Feeling a slight lift of the elbows, creating openness into the back. With our next breath, we'll untwist the arms, opening up into our warrior two, where we simply drop that back heel, back foot parallel to back edge, front knee and toe forward. To help us with alignment in our warrior two, we're going to take and do like a reverse Roman hand grip. Arms coming around behind us, which allows us to pull the back shoulder backwards, or the right shoulder back, and allows that front shoulder to maintain alignment forward. We can stay here, continuing to create openness in our shoulders, or if we'd like, floating those arms back out to shoulder height. As we inhale, lifting into reverse warrior, front palm to the sky. Envisioning our heart center lifting upward towards that lifted palm, almost as if it was connected by a string. Let's begin to straighten that front leg, tilting forward and down into our triangle. Taking our eye gaze wherever's comfortable, whether that's down towards the mat, out to the side, or up towards the lifted palm. And as we hold here for a couple more breaths, let's see if we can find a nice straight line, fingertip to fingertip through the shoulders. Let's begin to slowly soften that front knee. Releasing hands down, shifting back into our lunge stance, feet hip distance apart. We'll continue to rotate torso towards the front knee into prayer twist lunge. Hugging front knee into the chest, chest into the knee. As we slowly untwist, moving into our downward facing dog. Holding here or flowing through a vinyasa. With our next breath, our right foot will step forward. Rising back up into our lunge pose. This time, with our eagle arms, the left will stack on top of right. As we did on the first side, we can slightly lift the elbows to create more space between the scapula, opening up the upper back. On our next inhale, we untwist and rise to sky, opening up into our warrior two. And just as we did on the first side, we can find that Roman hand grip behind us, working on our shoulder alignment. And then maintaining hands behind if we would like the openness, or floating the hands back out to shoulder height. While here, let's take a quick gaze down towards our front knee, ensuring that knee is stacked over ankle, that we have sight of our big toe. Feeling engagement to the outside of the hip, glute, to maintain this alignment. We'll now inhale into a reverse warrior. Let's ultimately begin to straighten that front leg, tilting forward and down into our triangle pose. Still finding strengthening through the glutes to keep the hips open in this pose. And now let's slowly start to soften the front knee, shifting back into lunge, continuing rotating the torso into prayer twist lunge. Let's make sure we're pressing out of the back toes to fully engage the back leg. Let's slowly untwist, making our way into downward facing dog. Holding down dog or finding a vinyasa flow. Bringing some greater strength into the upper body, working through some planks. We'll first shift into full plank, long straight line through the body, from the crown of the head to the heels. We'll find side plank with the left arm underneath us, the right arm up to the sky. Feeling our hips lifting, engaging through the side body. Let's return to our full plank. Realigning, resetting. Now the right hand will come underneath us, the left arm up to the sky. One more time back into full plank. Then ultimately stepping the left foot forward, walking our way to the long edge of our mat. A moment here in our standing straddle. Feeling the upper body heavy with gravity as we ground through the feet. Let's lift up onto fingertips. So simultaneously we can turn our toes out, bending our knees, preparing for sun pose. We'll walk hands up onto our thighs, slowly lifting, rising upward, bringing hands to heart center for just a moment. We're going to do our Kapalabhati breath in our sun pose. So we have the option of hands on our belly if that helps us, or we can be in our full sun pose. So as we inhale one more time up to the sky, this time either hands to heart center or arms sweeping out to the sides. We'll hold our sun pose, checking our alignment, and then working into our Kapalabhati breath, breath of fire. Let's take a deep inhale breath. Exhaling most, if not all, the air out. And then start that vigorous exhale breath through the nose. Let's inhale, straightening arms and legs. Exhale, flowing back into sun pose one more round. Exhaling the air out and beginning that vigorous breath. Inhaling, rising arms up to sky. This time, hands to heart center. Full exhale breath. We can turn and walk our way to the top of the mat, into our mountain pose. From here, we'll work into our chair pose, first sinking straight down. Weights in our heels. We can stay here or maybe extend our arms out in front of us. Keeping our heels grounded, or for more challenge, we can find our balancing chair, lifting heels away from the mat, sinking down deeper into the legs. Meeting with our heels back down to the mat. Let's inhale and rise up to the sky. Exhale, releasing into a fold. Preparing for pyramid pose, if we have blocks, we can place those onto the mat. And stepping back with our right foot. Let's create length through the spine, length through the legs, with the hips squared mostly to the top of the mat, shoulders squared entirely to the top of the mat. As we begin to make our way into balancing half moon, if we'd like to take our blocks with us, we can. Otherwise, placing hands to the mat in tripod, and then lifting and opening to the long edge of the mat. Releasing back down, finding our lunge. We'll take our front foot into air for three-legged dog. Option for the heel drop behind. And then staying on the same side, we'll step back through. Once again, returning to our pyramid, and this time adding on some rotation. So whether we have our hands on the mat, on our thigh or shin, or down on a block, let's place our right hand down, lifting the left arm up to the sky. Rotating torso. Helping to stabilize the pelvis by engaging root block Mula Bandha. Drawing inner thighs towards the center. With our exhale, we can release. Stepping forward into forward fold. With an inhale, rising to the sky. Hands coming around behind us for a standing camel, where fists come on either side of the sacrum. Pressing our hips forward as we raise the heart center to the sky. Let's return to tall posture, inhaling breath. Finding that same sequence on the other side. First coming into fold, stepping our left foot back into pyramid pose. Grounding into both feet and finding a balance of weight between the front foot and back foot, and a balance of weight between the toes and heels of each foot. From here, shifting forward into tripod, opening into our half moon pose. As we place our back heel down for lunge, quick hip release and three-legged dog, heel dropping behind. And then we'll step back through into lunge, shortening back into pyramid. And again, if we have blocks, staying lifted, maybe even putting hand on shin or thigh. Grounding the left palm, the right arm reaches up to the sky. With our exhale breath, hand flowing down. Again, we step into a forward fold. Deep inhale breath, we rise to sky. This time, hands come around behind into a chest expansion. Interlacing fingertips, drawing shoulder blades together. We can also release our arms alongside the body as we stand in mountain pose, preparing for balance. First in tree pose, we'll ground into our left foot, lifting the knee and finding the heel placed above or below the knee. Hands to heart center, or arms can fully extend overhead. Feeling strong and stable. And it's always helpful to have a place for our eye gaze. Hands can return to heart center as we find a knee lift, and now shifting into warrior three. Working to have the body parallel to the mat. Staying with hands to heart center, airplane arms or arms fully extending overhead. Let's return to a knee lift, finding control and stability. And then releasing the foot down to the mat, where we readjust stance, preparing for the other side. Shifting weight to the right foot, Again, finding tree pose to begin. Lower high tree and arm option of choice. We'll take those hands back to heart center. Knee lift and a shift forward into warrior three. Once we find our place in the posture, our arm option of choice. And it could be the same as we did on the first side, or maybe we want to try something different. Let's return to our knee lift. And then gently placing the foot down to mat. With our next inhale, let's rise to sky. Releasing down into fold. Taking a couple deep breaths here to relax the body, releasing tension from the hips and the back. And then we'll ultimately come down onto knees and make our way to seated. Coming into a butterfly pose where our soles of feet will meet. Adjusting so we're tall on our sits bones. Lifting our heart center with an inhale breath and staying here or folding forward with the exhale breath. Couple more deep breaths here to fully relax the body. As we slowly begin to rise out of the posture, taking our legs wide for a seated straddle. Again, sitting up tall on our sits bones, we inhale breath here. And then with an exhale, folding as far forward as our bodies allow. Hands can reach forward or maybe out towards the shins or ankles or feet. As we hold here for a couple more breaths, let's see if we can relax further. Relax our shoulders, soften the expression on our face. We can gently rise out of this posture. Bringing our feet in, our knees bent, so we can prepare for a tabletop. Hands can come behind us with fingertips facing towards the heels. And with strength in our glutes, lifting the hips up towards the sky. Chin can tuck or eye gaze can lift. As we work to make the body flat like a table. Our hips flowing back down to the mat. We'll come tall on our sits bones as we float our feet away from the mat for boat pose. Staying with our knees bent, maybe extending our legs, or if you'd like, big toe wide boat, finding hands on the big toes or bottom of the feet and the legs extending wide. So our boat option of choice. And if we have our legs extended in full boat or big toe wide boat, let's meet back into our bent knee boat. And then gently lowering those feet down to the mat. As we prepare to come on our backs, we're going to need our straps, so let's make sure we have those handy nearby. And then rolling gently onto our backs, drawing knees into chest, where we hug them in, a little gentle rock side to side. As we place our left foot down to the mat, with our straps, we can lasso our right leg, having the strap on the ball of the foot. The left leg can extend long. If we have reach, we can also just take our hand to our big toe. From here, a little flow sequence. We first drop the leg out to the right side, obtaining some stretch for the inner thigh. Lifting the leg back up, drawing across the body to about 45 degrees so we can find openness through the outside of the hip. Finding our leg back up towards the sky. We're now going to draw our left leg in and doing a supported figure four, drawing the right foot across the left knee, and then bending left knee. You can slowly release the right leg out, and conveniently, we're already ready for the other side, starting with a single leg stretch. Dropping the leg to the outside for inner thigh. You can slowly bring the leg back up and across the body. Returning back to the top, and as we move into that supported figure four, our right foot will come in, and then the left foot crosses across the right knee. And we use the strap to pull both legs in towards the body. Let's slowly release, placing our straps off to the side as we prepare for an inversion of shoulder stand. And if shoulder stand is not within our practice, we have the option of doing legs at the wall, or maybe we want to just do a bridge off the wall. Or if we don't have a wall handy, we can always just do legs up the imaginary wall. And if we have our strap, then we can also use our strap to help hold the legs. So taking one of those options, or if we'd like to practice shoulder stand, we'll draw shoulders underneath, pressing into the heels to lift into bridge, and walking up even higher onto the back of the arms. We can support our pelvis with our hands, and then with a quick 1-2 lift of our legs up towards the sky. Flipping our palms and allowing our legs to lift. If in shoulder stand, we also have the option of dropping toes behind us for plow pose. Slowly releasing from our pose of choice. And we're going to counter this with just a few moments in fish, where we place our hands underneath the hips, legs will go straight. We'll walk up onto our elbows and slide backwards, taking the back of our head to the mat, lifting through the heart center, getting openness through the throat, through the chest. Big deep inhale breath. Then we can slowly release down, placing our arms back alongside the body. With our knees drawing into chest, let's take a little rock side to side. As we move into our happy baby, our knees will go wide. Hands above the feet, heels up towards the sky. Pulling outward and downward with the knees towards the mat. We could ultimately release our feet down to the mat. Preparing for bridge pose, we'll draw shoulders underneath, pressing into the heels to lift the hips to the sky. If we'd like, walking up higher onto the shoulder blades, maybe adding chest expansion. Or if within our practice, we can flip our palms and move into a full wheel pose. Releasing from our back bend of choice. Let's extend our left leg and shift the hips so our right knee can come across the body into supine spinal twist. Taking several deep breaths here, relaxing the arms and legs, bringing out tension from the spine. And as we're nearing the end of the practice, this is a great opportunity to soften and close the eyes, inviting in more relaxation. Let's slowly come back onto our backs. Re-squaring hips so we can shift to the other side, extending right leg. Left knee comes across the body. Deep inhales and long exhales. And slowly come back onto our backs. Re-square the hips, moving into our final relaxation, that place of comfort where arms are alongside the body, our eyes are soft and closed. Letting go of control of the breath, returning back to our natural, easy breathing. Let's start to bring awareness back to the breath, deepening the inhales and exhales. And then gentle movement to the body, wiggling fingertips and toes or rolling wrists and ankles. The smaller movements, bringing in larger movements. Anything that would reawaken the body. And as we're ultimately ready, let's make our way up to a seated place on the mat. Sitting tall as we started our practice, hands to the knees, palms up or palms down, and our eyes are soft and closed. Last few moments with the breath, finding stillness, introspection. As we bring our hands together at heart center into our Anjali Mudra. As the light in me honors the light in you, namaste.